Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Greg Clement. Greg Clement is a visionary real estate entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of LeadFlow, the first AI-powered lead generation system tailored for real estate professional and small businesses. With over 2 decades of experience in the industry, Greg has consistently led the charge of integrating technology with real estate processes. He is renowned for his pioneering work in leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance market analysis and investment decisions. Greg's leadership has been instrumental in developing tools like the Sellability Score, which has revolutionized how real estate professionals approach buying and selling, harnessing AI technology to streamline the process of identifying and capturing high-quality leads. His insights and innovations continue to shape the future of real estate, making it more accessible, efficient, and profitable. As a sought-after speaker and thought leader, Greg is passionate about sharing his insights on AI's transformative potential in real estate. Well, good afternoon, Greg. Welcome to the show.
Awesome to be here.
You bet. I appreciate it. And making the time. I know you've been in the KC area, but you're hailing out of the great state of Ohio there in Cleveland. And I appreciate that because I go out of my state virtually every day to meet somebody new. So this is really, really awesome. And Greg, jumping into your first question here, could you share more about your journey in real estate and what inspired you to integrate AI technology into this industry?
Perfect. Yes. So after college, I went to college here in Northeast Ohio. And then when I graduated, jumped into financial planning. So I had a business degree and sort of fell into financial planning, not really as a career choice, but just it was the opportunity right in front of me. I think I was really entrepreneurial and I did that for 7 or 8 years. And the funny thing about financial planning, the interesting thing is that you get an opportunity to meet a bunch of people and you really peel back behind the curtain, right? And you're able to see, like net worth, you're able to see income, you're able to see how they're building and growing assets. And it didn't take me too long to figure out that many of my most successful clients had significant money in real estate, both residential and commercial. So, you always hear this concept in theory that real estate, has made more millionaires than any other industry in the world, but it's theoretical. And right, it's not until you sort of jump in and you actually pick a niche in real estate and you actually build a business around that niche. So that's what we decided to do. I was around 29 years old and we're in Northeast Ohio in between Cleveland and Akron. So very Midwestern area, Midwestern part of the country. And like the housing prices, we jumped into residential real estate. Housing prices didn't necessarily drastically increase like, the Sun Belt and sort of the coastal parts of the US over the past 15 to 20 years. So we had very flat price appreciation. And so we had to get really good at negotiating debt because a lot of properties were in foreclosure. And so we did a lot of short sale work early on. And then, as our business started to grow, we needed to develop some software to run our business. And as we did that, we originally wanted RealFlow to run our own business. But as we showed it to other investors, it didn't, take too long for us to figure out, hey, that this technology could help a lot of other people, not just us here locally in Northeast Ohio. So we started RealFlow in 2006. And at first we were more of a CRM platform, more of like a business management system. So if you had a successful business, you would use our software to run your business. And then a few years into it, as we started to grow, we realized that not every real estate investor or agent is good at marketing, that they need some marketing help. So we added data to our product. So we allowed our users to use different data feeds like, absentee owners or foreclosure properties or cash buyers or vacant properties. These are the types of niches in real estate that investors and agents focus on and actually can build a big business around. So it was interesting. I was in 2018, I was speaking in Las Vegas about our software at a real estate convention, Real Estate Ignite, one of the biggest investing conventions annually in Vegas in December. About 5,000 investors and agents go out there every year. And I jumped off stage and a guy grabbed me and he said, "Hey, Greg, I live in Chicago and I've quit marketing to every other lead source except this." And so he definitely piqued my interest. I'm like, okay. And he said, "I market only to baby boomers who've recently subscribed to Southern Living magazine." And I was like, really? And he stumbled upon what we now call propensity to sell. Like he was an investor in Chicago, so in the Midwest, up north, marketing to people at or near retirement age who were just beginning to scratch that itch of maybe moving down south. And they weren't ready to sell yet, but they would be in the near future, potentially, right? So I go back to the office. I talk to one of my partners, and that started a 9-month odyssey for us for RealFlow to develop the sellability scores, which measures, propensity to sell. It's basically predictive analytics. We put a score on almost every property in America on how likely that is to go on the market in the next 90 to 180 days. So it's really been a pretty dramatic improvement for investors and agents to really hone in on their marketing. So pretty amazing technology. And we launched that in 2000. Today, we're on the 11th generation of that model.
Amazing. I appreciate that. Stepping us through the backstory and launching something to help others. And it's sometimes happenstance, right? You can call it destiny, kismet, whatever it is. But
right.
Jumping off stage and meeting that individual obviously catapulted your business in a different direction. So I appreciate the story, really do. Greg, next question I have for you. Can you explain the concept of the sellability score and how it utilizes AI to improve the buying and selling process for real estate professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did when we developed the sellability scores, we had to look back at transactional data. So we went back to 1980. And we looked at every property transfer in the United States. So we used machine learning specifically, so artificial intelligence, but really machine learning to crunch all these numbers and find patterns in the data. So for example, if we know that someone sold a house 5 years ago, we looked at what happened right before they sold that house. Like, did someone move out of the house? Were there two incomes paying the mortgage and then there was a separation or a divorce, or one of them even had a change of address, so it went down to one mortgage, or was there a death, a disability? We looked at, the age of the home. We looked at the age of the development. We looked at, all of these factors, including how close is this property to a school, to a cemetery, to a park. And we started to notice through AI that there were definite patterns in the data, that there were precursors, which could predict, not with 100% certainty, because in data, right, you're never 100% certain. When you're trying to predict the future, you're never 100% certain. I don't believe that we live in a world of certainty. We live in a world of possibilities and probabilities. So most investors and agents really focus, and they're hopeful when they market to a list of prospects. They think it's possible that one of these prospects will be interested in selling their home or listing their home. With the sellability score, we move it into the probability zone. So there's a high degree of probability that this person will list their property, and it allows investors and agents to reach them right before their competition does. So we just, if you can imagine 100 million plus residential properties in the United States, we track over 800 data points on each property. So the calculations are in the billions, 800 billion different calculations going on to sort of predict when someone is going to want to sell their property. So it's a pretty amazing, and the human brain, one of the interesting things here is that I had a lot of experience as an investor. I had almost 15 years experience when we were working with our engineers, our data science team, to build this. And so I had all these hunches, and I was sending them a daily email with, hey, so let's look at this, let's look at that. And they finally told me to just shut up, because my emotions, my judgments, my intuition even wasn't important. The only thing that was important was the data. What is the data telling us? And the data it verified some of my expertise, but it also flew in the face of conventional wisdom. There were some, indicators that I didn't think had anything to do with people wanting to sell their house, but that were very important in the sellability score. It raised the sellability score. So again, just pretty amazing concept.
Thank you. I really do like that concept. Something that I learn something every day here on the podcast, but didn't know much about the sellability score. And I appreciate you sharing that with me and our audience today for sure. And Greg, looking ahead, what are some of the emerging AI technologies or trends that you believe will further revolutionize the real estate sector?
Sure. I think AI this past 12 months has obviously blown up. So you could say ChatGPT last year really helped spearhead sort of the revolution, but companies have been using AI and machine learning and generative AI for years, actually for decades. But I think now it's hitting the mainstream. So I think real estate investors, real estate agents tend to be very entrepreneurial. And I think the good news is that, entrepreneurs tend to be on the cutting edge and want to use tools to make them more efficient, to really allow them to make more money with less effort, right? Because we're small business owners and if we don't have to put 50, 60, 70 hours a week into our business, if we can put 30, 40 hours or 20 hours, we'd rather do that. If we can make the same income or increase our income, reach our goals, whether it is income or net worth, if we can do it faster and more efficiently, we're open to that. So I think generative AI like ChatGPT, what we see a lot of our users doing now is instead of even hiring a graphic designer to design their logo for a new company, they're using generative AI to design the logo, and they're designing it in seconds versus the typical process, which could take days or weeks. And they're able to get, 10 versions of a logo. They're able to pop it up on social media, have their friends and family vote for it. And then they have a new logo that sort of represents their company. I think, generative AI is great at writing. It's great at taking complex subjects and breaking it down into bite-sized, manageable pieces. I think like predictive AI is essentially what we've built. And I see predictive AI being used more and more in real estate because it's harder and harder. As an agent, we have all these rulings, all these lawsuits happening in the past 6 months. And so the real estate agent industry, that industry is changing right before our eyes. It's growing up, so to speak. And so some agents are going to be out of the business, but I think the professional, the career agents, the people who hunker down and get through this period, they can use AI to help them be much more efficient, target the right people at the right time, because timing really is everything when it comes to property. Like to reach people a year before they're ready to sell, that's not the best timing. And you don't really know how to follow up. Should you follow up every week, every month? But I think reaching them a few months before, or at least making a contact and then letting them know when they start to get that itch, you can help them scratch it. So I think those are some things that can really impact real estate in a positive way.
Thank you. We have seen such a change and disruption in a lot of industries. Part of it was due to AI, but part of it is we're seeing this word disruption has been probably truly disrupting all industries over the last decade due to people finding better processes, newer technologies to really meet the needs of the consumer. So I appreciate your insights on that, Greg, really do. And Greg, last question of the day, as LeadFlow continues to grow, what are your long-term goals for the company? And how do you plan to continue influencing the real estate industry with AI?
So great question. I think we're going to continue to lean into AI. I have 3 sons. One is 24, one's 21, and one's in high school. And my 2 older boys are, entering the workforce, and I'm encouraging them to lean into AI, not to stick their head in the sand and worry about, the negative ramifications of AI, because there are some. If we're so honest with ourselves, AI has the potential to completely transform how we live and work and play. And I think it's very important. Like we've been the past 5 years in the forefront of developing new AI technology. Like you got to lean into it. You got to embrace it because it's here. It's not going anywhere. Whether you or me or anyone listening, whether we like it or not, it's here. And I think the best way to use it is to understand it. And instead of it being a theoretical, have it be so practical in your life. And so here's one of the most exciting things that we've uncovered the past 24 months is that RealFlow primarily focuses on real estate investing. LeadFlow is the property data division and AI division of RealFlow. So what we've realized is that agents have been using our AI for the past 5 years. Even though we haven't marketed it to real estate agents, they've been using it to find new listings. So that's why just last month we rolled out, LeadFlow AI So Agent, and that product is growing significantly in just the past couple of weeks. What I see the future as is we are a property data company first, and there are many industries that property data can transform. For example, a landscaper. A landscaper could use our technology to identify people who need landscaping refreshes, people who might have built a property 10, 12 years ago, who now are at the point where they want to completely, revamp all of their landscaping. A roofer could use our AI technology, our property data to gauge when someone is going to have to replace the shingles on their house. And you can actually target our AI geocentrically. So if there's, let's say, a hailstorm in just certain parts of your city, you can do a wraparound with our AI and target only the leads who live in this little polygon search. So what we're finding, which is absolutely incredible, and that's what has us so excited here at LeadFlow, is our property data is so useful into any business that touches property. It's not just investing or the agent, the brokerage industry. It's the mortgage industry. It's roofers, landscapers, remodelers, siding installers. It's electricians and plumbers. Anyone that touches a property, retail or commercial, our property data can help them find customers and find new clients faster and more efficiently.
Really love that. And especially, you're teaching your sons some great things. You and I have been kind of a little bit over the hill as far as our background, our technology, and our career, but you're embracing the technology, which is really cool. And you're encouraging your sons to jump in, which is awesome. And I just love the tool, the fact that you're integrating AI to make searches a lot easier around property management in general, not just real estate, which I really, really enjoy. Greg, it was such a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Yeah, Brian, thanks for the opportunity, and we'll definitely talk to you soon. We'll keep plugging away over here and keep transforming, how people reach customers, reach property owners with AI for sure. We're excited. Thanks.
Bye for now.